You know, our country's at a tipping point. We could go bad. We're at a tipping point.
A tipping point? Folks, that might be the understatement of the year, because while the media is obsessing over clickbait and manufactured outrage, NATO's worst nightmare is quietly becoming reality, and the technocratic control of the United States under Palantir and Peter Thiel and all of those guys is happening in real time. And yes, everything is changing right before our eyes. I'm going to show you exactly how this is unfolding. So over the past 48 hours, I received exclusive information from sources, information that has not been reported anywhere else. And here it is, that 2 Russian nuclear submarines have arrived off the coast of Venezuela, and more are on their way. This is in addition to the Russian battleships and cruisers, which have already headed to the region, and that has been reported. Let that sink in. These are not patrol ships. These are not advisors. These are nuclear submarines. And if you understand Russia's nuclear submarine fleet right now, this should set off alarms, because Russia's undersea nuclear capability is not just competitive with the United States, it's blowing us away. It surpasses us in several key areas: in size, in stealth, innovation. Their 2 new style submarines are the apex predators of the ocean right now, and we can't compete. And they are parked right now in our hemisphere. Why? Because something much bigger is happening behind the scenes, something Washington and Brussels don't want to talk about. They keep talking around it, but we're going to talk straight at it today. And here it is. Last week, President Trump quietly unveiled what insiders are now calling the Trump Doctrine. You could call it the Trump Corollary. It's a seismic rewriting of the U.S. grand strategy that effectively ends the unipolar order that America has dominated since 1945. The U.S. as the reserve currency, as the superpower. Gone. Trump just declared it. Dare I say that this is a game changer? You probably didn't hear about it because the media totally ignored it, completely actually. But Europe heard it, China heard it, Russia definitely heard it, hence the submarines. And Trump told the truth, that NATO never once spoken out loud. There are now 3 great powers in the world: the United States, China, and Russia. That's it. Europe, according to Trump's own national security team, Europe will cease to be relevant within 20 years. Their entire civilization changed forever. This isn't me saying this. This is the Trump administration's official view, written down in a new doctrine. Trump's new strategy document essentially stunned the mainstream by bluntly stating that Europe faces a civilizational collapse, and it will be done, finished in 20 years. And of course, that means the death of NATO, a fossil that no longer is relevant. Colonel Douglas McGregor reacted to this on our show earlier this week by saying bluntly that NATO is dead. Watch.
NATO is disintegrating. We're trying to maintain this facade that such an alliance actually existed as meaningful. But if you look at Berlin right now and Germany is like a volcano that is beginning to erupt.
This is the real world now. And Trump, unlike the neocons, is acknowledging it. So let's talk about Venezuela, because what you're being told is the sanitized version of what's happening there. You're told it's about narco-terrorism. That's a lie, of course, as we've debunked. So if you go one layer deeper, you probably think, oh, then it's about oil. But it's not even about that. You're told, oh, it's about Maduro. It's not about that either. Oh, it's about restoring democracy. Nope, it's not that. The real story that no insiders want to talk about is this. China is deeply entwined in Venezuela. China built the refineries. China built the infrastructure. They're building ports all through Latin America. China refines 30% of Venezuela's oil just off the coast in the Orinoco Belt. So yes, it's about oil, but it's about China's influence in our hemisphere, full stop. And Trump's new doctrine is a blunt reassertion of the Monroe Doctrine. The Western Hemisphere belongs to us, not Beijing. And the moment Trump publicly rolled out this new strategy, guess who showed up? Russia sent nuclear submarines to Venezuela to say, hey, we're here too, and you don't get to box us out. Are we playing this game? And what sources are telling me right now is that these 3 superpowers are shifting everything. Trump's own documents now say China is not an enemy, they're an economic competitor. The new Trump doctrine says we're done being the cops of the world, essentially. It says Taiwan, yeah, it's important, but it's not important if other countries aren't going to pay their fair share to actually assist in the defense of Taiwan, like Europe. In other words, Trump is saying we're going to start keeping our eyes on our own paper, and you'd better start doing the same, because we're not going to pay for it anymore. Now, the Trump doctrine isn't just anti-China. It also sidelines Moscow in a big way. It says America is no longer trying to run the entire planet, only its own hemisphere. Fortress America, essentially. And this is where the concerns about a technocratic rise in America come into play, right? It's for our security that we need to have all this biometric scanning and surveillance under Palantir. So we're going to see how that part unfolds. But if Trump can pull this off, it's going to piss off a lot of war hawks at NATO who want us to go to war with Russia, who want us to invade Venezuela, who want us to keep bombing Somalia and the Houthis in Yemen. This is a massive shift, the biggest since 1945. From a global policeman to a continental superstate. Can we pull it off? That means enormous opportunities here at home if this happens. You can already see it in construction and manufacturing. The demand for electrical engineers in this country is off the charts. Forget those like little bloggers that sit on a beach and write like travel blogs. No. What America needs now are real people that know how to do real jobs. Trump has essentially admitted something the political class never wanted to say out loud, that tariffs alone have not stopped China. The supply chain still sits in Asia. And our entire manufacturing base is hollowed out and gone. So now he's doing something much more radical. He's cutting off the hemisphere, a sealed economic and military wall, a fortified hemisphere, a return to pre-World War II strategic thinking, which we had in the United States, but on steroids. And this is why mass manufacturing is now being forced back into the United States. Rare earth mining is being nationalized, essentially. I mean, the U.S. is literally investing in precious metals, silver, copper, nickel. It's a vital national security interest, as Trump has declared it. Tariffs are being weaponized, of course, and Chinese influence is being ripped out of Latin America by force if necessary. Will they go quietly? Let's see how this plays out. Will Xi Jinping blink? Will Putin blink? This is not a policy tweak. This is a civilizational pivot right now. And the rest of the world is reacting. Europe is melting down. As Moon of Alabama put it bluntly, the new U.S. strategy strangles Europe, competes with China, and forgets the rest. And Europe knows it. They're done. Because if America withdraws its global NATO umbrella and China and Russia rise, which they are, then Europe essentially becomes irrelevant. And they know what's coming. Demographic collapse, energy shortages you're seeing all over Germany, industrial decline, a dependent military, a migrant crisis that cannot be reversed. Europe is staring at extinction as a geopolitical actor, and Trump just said it out loud and put it in a policy paper. This is why we're seeing panic behind the scenes. And speaking of panic, here's something else that sources have told me. There are 11,000 Chinese engineers currently in the United States. What are they doing here? Engineers? Not students, not tourists. Engineers. And U.S. officials admit they have no idea where many of them are or what exactly they're even doing. So let me repeat that. Thousands of Chinese engineers inside the United States as Trump rolls out a doctrine designed explicitly to keep Eastern influence out of our hemisphere. Over the past 4 years under Biden, 200,000 Chinese came into the United States. 200,000. And of course, Trump wants to open the doors for 500,000 students to come in, which is all very weird, right? So do you see like a weird collision course happening here? 2026 is going to be an absolute mess. The economic front is collapsing. At the same time, the geopolitical world is shifting. Right now, the United States businesses are going bankrupt at a blistering pace. New report out this week that we are entering a year where the economy breaks apart. NATO fractures and breaks apart. China tightens its grip. Russia plants nuclear submarines in our backyard. And America declares a new hemispheric empire. This is why Trump said we are at a tipping point. This is why you feel the tension right now. You feel why neocons are melting down. And according to journalist Lara Logan,